Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into just a few verses from Isaiah chapter 8. And honestly, this passage reads like a survival guide for a crisis of faith. It asks a really critical question. When everything feels dark and uncertain, where do you even begin to look for answers?
All right, let's jump right in with verse 19. I want you to imagine you're living in a time of just total chaos. The prophet Isaiah is describing the people of Judah, and they're being pressured big time to get answers from wizards that peep and that mutter. So it's this direct challenge, forcing them to choose. Are you going to trust in God, or are you going to turn to the occult for guidance?
And right away, the text just hits you with this profound question. Why would the living seek guidance from the dead? It's a challenge to their basic logic. I mean, think about it. What could the dead possibly know about the world of the living? It's kind of like asking for directions in your own city from someone who's never even been there. It just doesn't make any sense, right?
Now this phrase, wizards that peep and mutter, it sounds a little strange, but it's not just poetry. It's a direct reference to what mediums were actually doing back then. Apparently they would make these little chirping sounds and whisper chants, trying to imitate the voices of spirits. And that one small detail, it just paints this incredibly vivid picture of the exact spiritual practices Isaiah was warning everybody against.
So after warning against these false guides, Isaiah doesn't just leave the people hanging. Nope. In verse 20, he gives them something incredibly valuable, a clear standard, a way for them to measure the truth for themselves. And here it is. Verse 20 lays out what you could basically call a divine litmus test. It's the ultimate benchmark. The message is so simple. If any guidance or prophecy doesn't line up with this word, then Isaiah's conclusion is blunt. He just says, it is because there is no light in them. End of story.
So, what are the two pillars of this test? Well, first, you've got the law. This is the foundation, the divine commandments given through Moses. And second, you have the testimony, which was the current, living, prophetic word from Isaiah himself. So true message had to align with both, with the ancient foundation and with the present revelation.
And that brings us to that really powerful metaphor. There is no light in them. It's such a stark image. The idea is that anyone whose words contradict God's law and testimony is speaking from a place of spiritual darkness. Their guidance simply can't lead to truth because, well, its source isn't divine.
Okay, now in verses 21 and 22, the prophecy takes a turn. It shifts from a warning to this chilling vision of the consequences. This is what happens, Isaiah is saying, when a people reject the light and choose to follow darkness instead.
And this isn't just abstract language. These verses are describing the harsh, brutal reality of the Assyrian invasion that took place. That trouble and darkness he's talking about, that was literal. We're talking war, crippling tribute payments, massive food shortages in a whole nation just consumed by anguish. You can almost see this clear downward spiral in the text. It starts with physical hardship, hunger and oppression. Then that boils over into a kind of spiritual collapse. They get so distressed they start cursing their king, even cursing God out of frustration. And the final stage? Being driven to darkness, a state of just hopeless despair that leads to their ultimate defeat.
But what does this dimness of anguish truly feel like? I mean, how do you even grasp that level of despair? To help us understand its depth, another ancient record gives us a really powerful parallel that brings this whole feeling to life.
This passage here describes a people so beaten down by repeated military losses that they completely give up. They just submit to bondage, letting themselves be dominated and pushed around by their enemies. This is the very picture of that final stage of despair Isaiah warned about. A people so broken they've lost the will to even stand, humbling themselves all the way to the dust.
In the end, Isaiah's ancient prophecy leaves us with a challenge that feels incredibly modern. It's a message that was forged in crisis, for sure, but its core question echoes right into our own lives today. When we face our own dark and confusing times, when answers seem scarce, where will we choose to look for the light?